Hey everyone, delighted to have you here as always. So today we're going to talk about freelancing as a digital nomad. Now this channel isn't exclusively for digital nomads or even about the digital nomad life. However, it is a life that I've experienced over the past 6 months. So I thought I would share my lessons and learnings and the experience of that, and particularly from a freelance perspective, for anybody who's either starting out on this lifestyle or is maybe considering doing so in the future. So a little bit of recap. So I've been doing so for about the last 6 months, and at the time of recording, you can imagine it's not easy to travel at the moment. But with kind of being prepared, being safe, there are ways of traveling, making sure you adhere to the regulations. Obviously, it's changing regularly, so it is a difficult, challenging time to be traveling, but it absolutely can be done through, as I say, some good planning, and also through some of the existing digital nomad communities that exist. You have people on the ground you can liaise with, and they can give you advice and support. So I've gone from the Canary Islands to Egypt to Istanbul in Turkey to Malta, where I currently am residing at the moment. So a real mix of places. So hopefully a bit of a good wide experience of the digital nomad lifestyle. Now, one of the many reasons why freelancing supports the digital nomad lifestyle so well is because of some of the benefits I've spoken about in previous videos. And that comes down to the freedom and the autonomy, particularly around when you work, which is crucial in the way that you communicate with your clients. Now, this is something I've touched on before, where you have to protect that. You kind of get it at the start of being a freelancer, and it's easy to give it away to too many clients. Say, okay, yeah, I'll adhere to a weekly meeting at this time, or I'll be working live at this time. We can discuss in Slack between these hours, and you start to give up the benefits and the freedom of autonomy of what you have as a freelancer. You need to work so hard to protect them, I believe. Particularly, I know it's the number one reason for UK freelancers going freelance is the freedom. So it seems that that's definitely important to people. So you don't want to be giving that up. Now, the reason why that pairs so well with the digital nomad lifestyle is not only could there be a time difference, which I'll come back to in a moment, so you have a little bit of flexibility there, but you can live the lifestyle that you absolutely want. And we've talked before about working the hours that match your energy levels, how your chronotype, so whether you're a morning person or an evening person or whatever it might be. So, for example, if you're doing a creative freelance role, it may be that those core hours in the morning are really when you can be creative and focus and get some fantastic work done. Now, by being a freelancer, you can very clearly make sure that that's when you would work. And that means that you could have the afternoon to do whatever you might want to do, and then come back in the evening to do some of your administration work. So that's just one example, depending on the chronotype and the context of the work you're doing. And the beauty of that from a digital nomad perspective is you may well be visiting places that are also attractive for tourists. They often go hand in hand, right? Some of these digital nomad hotspots. So what that means is that maybe on the weekends and in evenings and certain times, some of the activities that you may want to do, they're going to be overwhelmed. There's going to be queues. It's going to be very busy, and it could be a difficult situation for you. But as a freelancer, you have that flexibility. So if you're someone who likes to, lots of digital nomads are places around coastal cities and towns. If you like to surf, for example, now, you can have the freedom as a creative freelancer, to, as I said earlier, using that example, to work in the morning in that creative time, create some fantastic work, and then head out in the afternoon of a weekday and go and spend a couple of hours surfing. Now, you obviously wouldn't be able to do that as an employee, or even as a remote employee, perhaps, who has obviously like restricted working hours. So then you're going in on the weekends and you're competing with all the other people that are trying to take up the space. So you get these little kind of benefits of being a freelancer that you can utilize. Now, it doesn't mean that you can get wholly distracted. And I've seen some people go down that route with digital nomad lifestyle, where their business is actually taking a hit because they aren't disciplined and they don't keep the structure and the time and the hours to put in to make sure their business is successful and they're delivering for their clients. So it is a fine balance. But if you have that established self-discipline, which is an important skill as a freelancer, of course, excuse me, then you can use that to your benefit. So as I say, whether it is going to the beach and surfing, or whether it's something to do with you want to just go to the gym or shopping or anything it might be, you can use those times to match up when suits with where you want to work, but also so you avoid the crowds and the busyness of some of those digital nomad locations. Now, in terms of the time difference, as I referenced earlier, it's been an interesting learning curve for me. And not only the time difference that I've been moving around, but also I've been working with some more international clients and seeing how that works. Now, it's very difficult if you have a high client-facing role in a specific time zone or a specific country, I believe. Now, the reason for that is obviously that you can sort of balance it, but I believe there will come some friction, and over time it can cause some problems. Now, let's say, for example, you're a freelance lead generation consultant or sales kind of role type position. Now, you're going to want to be speaking to prospects in the country you operate in, during their working hours, or certainly very closely aligned to them. Now, if you're in a time zone that's too far outside of that, not only are you going to disrupt your own time and kind of lose a lot of this freedom and autonomy, potentially even disrupt your sleep and all that sort of stuff, but potentially you won't be at your best to deliver for your clients or your prospects at the time as well. So, a little bit of a rule, and I have read around this. I think plus or minus 3 hours around the time zone that your clients operate in is a pretty good balance, to be honest. Now, that isn't to say that for some roles, they're very low touch with your clients. You need to do that. That's absolutely fine. But where you do have some form of communications on a fairly regular basis with your clients, I found that's basically the sweet spot. And obviously, subject to when you're chronotype and when you prefer to work, that plus or minus 3 can obviously you can try and match that up with the location if possible with where your clients work. But that seems to be the sweet spot from my experience so far. So, in summary, freelancing goes hand in hand with a digital nomad lifestyle. I think one of the good things can be to do is to establish. So, obviously, we're talking first year freelancing here. So, early stage freelancers, or those of you who are looking to go freelance shortly, is establish your business for a few months, 6 months perhaps, before you go out, because there are lots of other things you have to do with your digital nomad lifestyle to organize travel, accommodation, all these sorts of things, meeting new people. You want to make sure you enjoy the time, of course, as well, and get the benefits. So you don't really want to be going with a bit of a not many clients, or you're just launching your freelance business. I think it's good to establish that a little bit beforehand, so you can go with a little bit of confidence that you have a small bank of clients or live projects, and you kind of have built a bit of your reputation and your website, whatever it might be. You've got your marketing active, so you have those things in place before you leave. So I wanted to just touch on that point, because I do think that is important, because otherwise you're going to put yourself under a huge amount of pressure and potentially detract from some of those benefits of enjoying the digital nomad lifestyle. As I say, this isn't a channel exclusively on this content, but if you found it interesting and you have some questions, feel free to note them down in the comments, and I'll be happy to come back to you and potentially even produce more videos along this topic. Brilliant. Thanks for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you're not, and I'll see you again soon.